I wanted to outline some of the features of a new listing that I have. This is a revenue property located in Lachine, and it's actually a standout property. I ran the numbers on it, and it is cash flow positive whether you put 10% down or even if you put 20% down, obviously. So it's a really exciting investment. If you are looking to be an owner occupant of the property, we currently have one vacancy in the unit, and if you're looking to completely rent it out, well, even better, obviously. So let's run a couple different scenarios and see what that currently looks like for you. Okay, so here's the property. It's located at 734 to 738 7th Avenue in Lachine. As you can see right now, the potential revenue is $58,920. I say potential because right now 2 out of the 3 units are rented, and that last one could either be occupied by yourself or you could rent it out and obviously get the full cash flow. Current taxes on the property are $3,518, and then we're going to assume that the insurance on it is roughly $800 per unit. So we're going to put that into our pro forma of $2,400 a year. When we break it down right now, one unit's currently paying $1,440, the other unit's currently paying $1,670, and finally the vacant unit, which has 3 bedrooms as well, I have it about $1,800. That's where the rents are in the market right now for that neighborhood. So you see we have 2 3-bedroom units and 1 2-bedroom unit, and all of them honestly are in fantastic shape for a rental. It's actually super nice to check out. A bit more general information over here. Now let's get into the numbers on it because I think that's what most people want to see and want to understand. So I have a little calculation here. I've inputted the purchase price or the asking price of $939,000, and I've run 2 scenarios. Scenario 1 is at a 20% down payment. Scenario 2 is at a 10% down payment. So when we run through it, scenario 1, obviously at 20% down, there is no CMHC or mortgage insurance to consider, so we're going to be financing $751,200. I've inputted the taxes. I've inputted the insurance that we just discussed. I have a rate of 4.5% amortized over 30 years, and that gives me a monthly payment of $4,280. Now in scenario 2, I have the exact same thing. We do have the mortgage insurance, and the biggest difference here is our monthly payment is $4,735. This is totally normal, obviously, because we're financing a larger amount. We're putting less down. The difference between these 2 scenarios is $565, just as a note. Now I have here financed over 30 years, and I do want to note this is only available if you are a first-time buyer. With the new CMHC changes, you can amortize up to 30 years, even on an insured mortgage, if you are a first-time buyer. So if you are not a first-time buyer, we'd have to bring this down to 25 years. That would be the shift on that you're looking at. But for the intents of this video, I'm looking at it for a first-time buyer who's looking to own or occupy. Now the question typically becomes here, let's look at what the cash flow looks like. So in scenario 1, if it was fully rented with the numbers that I just gave you, you'd be cash flowing $629 a month or just over $7,500 a year. That is a cash on cash return of 3.73, and this includes your closing costs over here. So you have inspection at $1,000, notary fees at about $2,000, adjustments at about $1,750, and a welcome tax bill of $9,850 for a total bill of $14,609. I tack that back onto the down payment of $187 here. Our total cash invested is $202, and that's where those numbers come from. Same thing right over here. Obviously, your total cash invested is less, your return is less. The only thing I will note is that it's not being calculated in here is the CMHC tax. So you'd have to add the 9% of this into this section over here. So it'll be a little bit more, figure around, I don't know, an extra $2,200 roughly on the closing costs added to that number to be an exact figure. Now, what some people might ask is, okay, well, if I want to move into this property, what do the numbers look like for that? How much would I be going in out of pocket? So let's look at it. I have 2 units here. One of them pulls in $1,440, the other one $1,670. So $1,440 plus $1,670, that's $3,110. Bring that back over here. If I go $3,110 on both of them, well, if you put 20% down, you could live in this property and it would only cost you $1,170 per month. I think that's pretty spectacular. You have a 3-bedroom unit with an upgraded kitchen and bathroom, and that would be your monthly cost. Obviously, a huge savings for a rental comparatively of that type of unit. And if you were to put 10% down, you'd still be acquiring the property and you'd be going out of pocket for $1,625 per month. So even in this scenario, you'd be going out of pocket for less than what I valued the rental at, and you'd be the owner of the building. And obviously 2/3 of the building would be paying for your mortgage, for your taxes, for your insurance, for the bulk of the costs on this. So that's what makes this property an excellent opportunity in Lachine. There's really not too many properties in Montreal that are cash flow positive these days, especially properties that have had large capital expenditures invested into it, like the bathrooms, like the kitchens. This property has 3 sides of brickwork that's been redone as well. It's in an excellent growing neighborhood that has a lot to offer. It's only a few minutes away from the Lachine Canal, which is a beautiful kind of boardwalk by the water. So if you have more questions about this property, or if you'd love to schedule a visit, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a DM, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this property and an investment like this in Montreal.